The year is 1986. The world held its breath as news trickled out of Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union, about an accident at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. What started as a safety test gone horribly wrong had spiraled into the worst nuclear disaster in human history. An explosion ripped through reactor number 4, spewing radioactive debris high into the atmosphere, contaminating the surrounding landscape for miles. In the immediate aftermath, chaos reigned. Firefighters battled relentlessly to extinguish the inferno, while emergency crews worked tirelessly to contain the spread of the radioactive fallout. But amidst the smoke and devastation, a silent, unseen danger lurked deep within the bowels of the ravaged reactor. As teams of engineers and scientists cautiously ventured into the crippled facility, they encountered scenes of unimaginable destruction. Twisted metal, shattered concrete, and a pervasive, invisible enemy, radiation, permeated every corner. It was a surreal, terrifying landscape, one where the laws of nature seemed to have been suspended. And then, they found it. Hidden in a basement corridor, beneath layers of debris and contaminated equipment, lay a grotesque alien mass. It was dark, wrinkled, and misshapen, resembling nothing so much as the foot of a gigantic elephant. Hence, its chilling moniker, the elephant's foot. But this was no ordinary geological formation. This was corium, a nightmarish substance born from the heart of a nuclear meltdown. A lethal cocktail of molten nuclear fuel, concrete, steel, and sand, all fused together in the extreme heat of the reactor's core. Imagine, if you will, the fury of 1,000 suns compressed into a single, seething mass. That was the elephant's foot. Its radioactivity was off the charts, a silent, invisible killer that could deliver a fatal dose in mere minutes. The first explorers to stumble upon this monstrosity were met with a chilling reality. Their instruments screamed warnings. Their bodies began to feel the immediate effects of the intense radiation, a metallic taste in the mouth, nausea, and a burning sensation on the skin. They knew instinctively that they were in the presence of something truly dangerous, something that defied human comprehension. These weren't just theoretical risks. These were immediate threats. At the time of its discovery, the elephant's foot was emitting an estimated 10,000 roentgens per hour. To put that into perspective, a dose of just 500 roentgens is considered fatal within a matter of hours. Standing within a few feet of the elephant's foot meant certain death, and a gruesome one at that. The initial photographs of the elephant's foot were taken at great risk, often using remotely operated cameras or crude contraptions cobbled together from salvaged equipment. Human exposure was kept to an absolute minimum, every second meticulously calculated to avoid irreversible damage. These were not acts of bravado, but calculated sacrifices made in the name of scientific understanding and containment. The stories surrounding the elephant's foot quickly became legendary, whispered among the cleanup crews and scientists who risked their lives to tame the nuclear beast. Tales of men who ventured too close, who succumbed to radiation sickness within days, serving as grim reminders of the unimaginable power contained within that twisted mass. The elephant's foot was more than just a physical object. It was a symbol of the unimaginable consequences of human error and the enduring threat of nuclear power gone awry. It was a stark reminder that even in the face of technological progress, nature's forces could unleash devastation beyond our wildest nightmares. It was, and remains, a testament to the fragility of life and the awesome power of the atom. A chilling monument to a disaster that reshaped the world's understanding of nuclear energy, and the enduring legacy it continues to cast to this very day. Let's delve deeper into the heart of this radioactive behemoth and understand the science behind its enduring threat. The elephant's foot isn't just a lump of radioactive waste. It's a unique and terrifying substance known as corium. But what exactly is corium, and how did it form in the aftermath of the Chernobyl disaster? Corium, in its simplest definition, is lava-like fuel-containing material formed in the core of a nuclear reactor during a meltdown accident. Think of it as the ultimate toxic stew, a hellish fusion of molten nuclear fuel. The reactor's structural materials like steel and concrete, and anything else unfortunate enough to be in its path. In Chernobyl, this meant a horrifying mixture of uranium dioxide fuel, zirconium cladding, graphite moderator, and the very fabric of the reactor building itself. The formation process is a cascade of catastrophic failures. It all starts with a loss of coolant, the water that normally circulates through the reactor to keep the fuel rods from overheating. Without that vital cooling, the nuclear fuel begins to generate heat uncontrollably, reaching temperatures of thousands of degrees Celsius, far exceeding the melting point of most materials. As the fuel melts, it breaches its protective cladding and begins to interact with the surrounding reactor components. The zirconium alloy that encases the fuel rods reacts violently with steam at these high temperatures, producing hydrogen gas, which famously contributed to the explosions at Fukushima. The molten fuel then starts to dissolve and incorporate other materials like steel, concrete, and even sand. This mixture continues to melt and flow downwards, boring its way through the reactor structure in a relentless search for the lowest point. This superheated radioactive slurry is corium. Its composition is incredibly complex and varies depending on the specific reactor design and the materials it encounters during its molten journey. However, the key ingredient is always the highly radioactive nuclear fuel, which gives corium its incredibly dangerous properties. The elephant's foot, in particular, is believed to be primarily composed of silicon dioxide, essentially sand, fused with uranium, along with traces of other elements like calcium, iron, zirconium, aluminum, magnesium, and potassium. Its unique wrinkled texture and dark color are a result of the complex chemical reactions and cooling processes that occurred as it solidified. Now, why is corium so dangerous? The answer lies in its intense radioactivity. The uranium fuel within corium continues to undergo radioactive decay, emitting alpha, beta, and gamma radiation. Alpha particles are relatively heavy and can be stopped by a sheet of paper or even human skin. Beta particles are more penetrating but can be blocked by a thin sheet of aluminum. Gamma radiation, however, is the most dangerous. It's a high-energy electromagnetic radiation that can penetrate deep into the body, causing significant damage to cells and DNA. Exposure to high levels of radiation, like those emitted by the elephant's foot, can lead to acute radiation syndrome, also known as radiation sickness. This can cause a range of symptoms, including nausea, vomiting, fatigue, hair loss, and damage to internal organs. In severe cases, it can be fatal, but the long-term health risks associated with radiation exposure are even more concerning. Radiation can damage DNA, increasing the risk of developing cancer, particularly leukemia, thyroid cancer, and breast cancer. It can also cause genetic mutations that can be passed down to future generations. The elephant's foot, therefore, represents a long-term threat. Even though its radioactivity has decreased since the initial disaster, it still emits enough radiation to be dangerous, and it will continue to do so for centuries, if not millennia. In the immediate aftermath of the Chernobyl disaster, heroic efforts were made to contain the area around the reactor. The construction of the sarcophagus, a massive concrete and steel structure, was a monumental undertaking designed to seal the reactor and prevent the further release of radioactive materials. This was a dangerous and incredibly challenging task, carried out by brave liquidators who worked tirelessly in extremely hazardous conditions. These liquidators, many of whom were soldiers, miners, and construction workers, risked their lives to contain the disaster. They faced not only the immediate threat of radiation exposure, but also the psychological toll of working in such a contaminated and desolate environment. Many of these individuals suffered long-term health problems and premature death as a result of their exposure to radiation. Later, the sarcophagus was replaced by the new safe confinement, an even larger and more robust structure designed to provide a longer-term solution for containing the radioactive remains of the reactor. While these containment efforts have been successful in preventing further large-scale releases of radiation, the elephant's foot remains a persistent reminder of the dangers of nuclear power and the human cost of the Chernobyl disaster. It stands as a silent testament to the risks involved and the sacrifices made to mitigate the consequences. The zone around it continues to be carefully monitored. The lessons learned at Chernobyl, carved in corium, serve as a constant, albeit chilling, reminder of the fragility of technological systems and the imperative of prioritizing safety above all else. And so, we arrive at today. Decades have passed since that initial terrifying encounter with the elephant's foot. The world has changed. Chernobyl, once a word synonymous with immediate fear, is now, well, still scary, but also a place of study, of grim pilgrimage, and even, controversially, a possible site for renewable energy. But the elephant's foot remains, lurking in the shadows. For years, scientists have been wrestling with the challenge of long-term monitoring. How do you track something so dangerous, so inaccessible? Remote sensors offer a partial solution, measuring radiation levels and temperature changes. But these provide only a limited picture. Visual inspections are rare, dangerous, and rely on outdated technology. The new safe confinement, that massive arch we mentioned earlier, provides a physical barrier, but it doesn't eliminate the underlying threat. And then came AI, artificial intelligence, a technology that's reshaping everything from healthcare to art, was turned to the problem of the elephant's foot. It started with existing data, old photographs, radiation readings, geological surveys of the surrounding area. This information was fed into sophisticated algorithms, training the AI to recognize patterns, predict future behavior, and crucially, to identify areas of concern. But the real breakthrough came with a new scan. Using advanced techniques, scientists were able to create a detailed 3D model of the elephant's foot, something far beyond the grainy, distorted images of the past. This data, combined with the AI's analytical capabilities, offered a completely fresh perspective on this ancient threat. So, what did the AI reveal? Well, the initial findings were sobering. The AI confirmed what scientists had long suspected. The elephant's foot is continuing to decay. But the AI went further, identifying specific areas of accelerated degradation, weak points in the structure where further collapses were most likely to occur. Think of it like this. Imagine an ancient, crumbling statue. To the naked eye, it might seem relatively stable. But a detailed scan, analyzed by AI, could reveal hairline fractures, hidden weaknesses in the stone, and predict which parts are most likely to crumble and fall apart. That's essentially what the AI did for the elephant's foot, but with radiation levels that could kill you in minutes. The scan also revealed the intricate internal structure of the corium, the mixture of molten fuel, concrete, and metal that makes up the elephant's foot. The AI identified different materials within the mass, mapping their distribution and predicting how they would react over time. This information is crucial for understanding the long-term risks. One of the biggest concerns is the potential for further contamination. As the elephant's foot continues to decay, radioactive dust could be released into the surrounding environment. The AI was used to model the potential dispersal of this dust, taking into account wind patterns, soil composition, and the effectiveness of existing containment measures. The results were worrying. The AI simulations showed that even with the new safe confinement in place, a significant amount of radioactive material could still be released in the event of a major collapse. This could contaminate the surrounding soil and water, posing a long-term health risk to the local population. The AI also identified specific pathways through which this contamination could spread, allowing scientists to focus their monitoring efforts on the most vulnerable areas. Another critical finding was the potential for groundwater contamination. The elephant's foot sits above an aquifer, a layer of rock that holds groundwater. If the corium were to come into contact with this water, it could leach radioactive materials into the water supply, contaminating drinking water and potentially spreading contamination far beyond the immediate vicinity of Chernobyl. The AI scan revealed the proximity of the elephant's foot to the groundwater and modeled the potential consequences of such contact. It painted a grim picture of widespread contamination, highlighting the urgent need for improved containment measures. But it wasn't all bad news. The AI scan also offered some hope. By identifying the most vulnerable areas of the elephant's foot, the AI allowed scientists to focus their resources on targeted interventions. This could involve reinforcing the structure, improving drainage systems, or developing new methods for containing radioactive dust. The AI is also being used to develop predictive models of the elephant's foot's future behavior. By analyzing historical data and current trends, the AI can forecast how the mass will decay over time, allowing scientists to anticipate potential problems and take proactive measures to prevent them. The implications for future monitoring and containment efforts are significant. The AI scan provides a baseline against which future changes can be measured. It allows scientists to track the decay of the elephant's foot in real time, identifying potential problems before they become critical. It also provides a powerful tool for evaluating the effectiveness of different containment strategies, allowing scientists to optimize their efforts and minimize the risks. In essence, the AI has given us a new lens through which to view this ancient threat. It's a lens that reveals hidden dangers, predicts future outcomes, and empowers us to take proactive measures to protect the environment and human health. The elephant's foot remains a formidable challenge, but with the help of AI, we are finally gaining the upper hand.